Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Real Business Coaching, and I'm Gary Henson, president and founder of businesscoach.com. I'm your host of the Real Business Coaching program, and we're really excited to bring you this brand new program to each and every one of you and really teach and train people with some of the best experts in the industry. So without any further ado, let's get right into it today. I'm honored to have as a guest on the show today, Rob Goyette. Rob is an expert in the field of business coaching and a longtime and very dear friend of both my wife, Janine, and mine. I've had the privilege of knowing Rob for over 10 years, and I can tell you this is going to be a great interview. This guy really knows his stuff. This has been a dream of ours for a long time to have real business conversations and real coaching conversations and teach people entrepreneurial skills. And so you probably can sense my enthusiasm because I'm really excited about doing a series of these shows to bring you some real business coaching information. Today's topic is how to quickly add coaching revenue to your bank account in as little as 4 days. Wow, 4 days. And who better to talk about it than our expert on fast revenue coaching, Rob Goyette. So let's get started. Let's dive right in. And Rob, thank you for taking your valuable time to meet with us today and give us insights into this really important topic.
My pleasure, Coach Gary. Thanks for having me here.
You're welcome. You're absolutely welcome, and it's a privilege to have you. And so I think maybe you could do a little self-bio and tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So what can I say? I grew up in Missouri, kind of in the Midwest, and I've been using computers since like 1978, like before the Macintosh came out. When I was a kid, my dad brought one into the house really early, and I just kind of grew up around computers and technology and really liked it. And outside of college, I started teaching adults how to use computer software. So I found that I seemed to have a real talent for learning new software and teaching that software. And yeah, that it gave me confidence to present and all that good stuff. And along the way, I fell into an IT job for a medium-sized school district. So I was surrounded by all this technology that I loved. And then I started to discover internet marketing, the online marketing stuff, and I thought it was really, really cool. So I started getting really good at Google AdWords and search engine optimization and all that stuff. And over the course of that, I came to meet a guy named Christian Michelson, who, Gary, you and I both know.
Yes.
And we became friends before he really took off. And as he was taking off, he invited me to join his team and add some of my internet marketing expert to his team. So in 2007, I actually joined his team, was on it for about 7 years, helping him with all his marketing and his technology. And over that time, I got to know a lot of his peers, including you, Coach Gary.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And a lot of his peers ended up hiring me to help them with their marketing and their technology. So I really got to rub elbows with a lot of big players like the one hosting this show. And I really got a lot of experience and got to know the coaching industry really well. So, I had all my marketing and technology stuff, but then to jump into the coaching world, this is a very special world. If you're a coach, you are, an incredibly wonderful person. That's how I'll say it. And the reason that I say it that way, we could say heart-centered too, is contrasting it with kind of the internet marketing world. It's not always as loving and generous, and oftentimes it's cutthroat and dishonest. Yeah. And over in the coaching world, it's so much different. It's they really are two different worlds. And yes, there are some people who hover between the two successfully, but I really got to fall in love with the coaching world. And so around 2014, I realized that it's wonderful supporting all these leaders, but maybe I could see if I could do this too and build a list, grow that list, nurture that list, make offers to that list. And I ended up being pretty successful at it. I went to 6 figures almost right away from really just growing and nurturing a list and then making offers to that list. So now how I spend my time is teaching other coaches how they can grow a list, nurture a list, and make offers to that list to have a successful coaching practice.
Great intro, great information. And in the middle of that process, or early in that process, you and I met and started a relationship and have been working together ever since, and really appreciate our relationship. So maybe just briefly, you could share in the realm of what roadblocks did you face when you first started this process? Okay, so you went to work for Christian, then you went out on your own. So what were a couple of the challenges that you faced early on in your career?
Sure. Two challenges. One it was a personal challenge, and one is a business challenge. The personal one I'm not going to go into. I know that you know my story really well, Gary, but I had a really big personal challenge. And certainly talking to you, Coach Gary, you helped me kind of see through the weeds on some of this. My wife was also very supportive. And one thing that she said to me to help me get through this personal challenge was just make peace with the worst possible outcome. And so that's what I did. I thought, what's the very worst that could happen? And I became okay with that. And all of a sudden, the problems just kind of went away. So that's how I overcame a personal challenge. As far as a business challenge, I was am fortunate enough to be friends with you, Coach Gary, as well as a lot of your peers. So doing joint ventures and getting help from experts was not quite a challenge for me. But one thing that was confidence. Could I really call myself an expert? Could I step onto the stage, into the spotlight, and say, hey, what I've got works, and you should spend money with me? And so I think a lot of coaches have that confidence challenge. And I don't know if this is the perfect answer, but what really gave me confidence when I started offering programs and products was just the fact that there was a guarantee. And if people didn't like my stuff, they could return it. And that gave me the confidence to put it out there. And funny enough, people did not return it, and they used it, and they got results, and I got testimonials, and that built up my confidence. But I would say confidence was a challenge for me. And I think just having a guarantee around my programs really helped me sort of set the nervousness aside and go forward boldly.
Rob, I think if we ended our conversation right now, that was beautifully put and a great solution to, I think, an issue that most all of the coaches that come to me to get trained and certified and for me to work with them and help them build and develop their coaching business, not their coaching practice. We're not practicing things here. We're building a business model, right? And I think that was worth the price of admission right there, because I think confidence is absolutely key. And many of the people that come to us, they learn what we do. We have the systems, the processes, and the tools for them, but yet they don't have the confidence. And that was just great to help them build their confidence. Okay, good. So let's move on and maybe talk a little bit about a major breakthrough that you had that helped you in getting close to this, learning how to generate fast coaching revenue.
Yeah, so in 2016, I was scratching my head and trying to figure out how to get some clients. And I thought, I built a list. I think my list was about 3,000 at the time. And I thought, how can I reach out to these people and offer to let them hire me in a way that's irresistible to them? So I kind of worked backwards. I thought, what do they really want? Not what do I want, but what do they want? And I thought, well, a lot of them don't want to spend a lot of money. A lot of them, they want to work with me for more than just a month or so at a time. So I kind of thought, well, all right, how could all that work together? And then what works for my schedule? I could certainly sell a year of coaching with me for $1 and everybody would buy it, but that doesn't work for my schedule. So I thought, well, what if I chose like a $9.97 price point, which is a price point that's proven in the coaching industry, and gave a year of coaching with me. And I thought, well, how would that work? Would I have a weekly call with them or a monthly call? What's enough? And I thought, what if they had unlimited coaching with me? And I thought, well, that feels like a lot more than $9.97. But I kept sort of just massaging the idea. And I thought, well, what if the coaching sessions were only 15 minutes long? What if it was laser coaching? Because I thought about a lot of my coaching conversations, and a lot of them were just chit chat, how are you, unproductive. And I thought, if we just really laser focused on what do they need and how can they get it, what do they need to do, what steps, would something like that work? And I didn't know, but I decided to try it. But I thought, well, what if somebody decides, if they have unlimited coaching with me and they decide to put a spot on my calendar several times a day or every day for the whole year? I thought that's not really sustainable. And it occurred to me that maybe if there was homework in between for them to make progress, they we'd have a homework rule. And I remember explaining this to you, Gary, at the time, and you said, yeah, the homework rule works really well because you've used it as well. Am I remembering that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I kind of packaged it all together. It's like, all right, how about $1,000 unlimited coaching with me for 1 full year, have as many 15-minute coaching sessions as you like. On each session, we come up with homework. And once you do your homework, you can schedule your next session. And my wife was very nervous about me sending this out because, what if a lot of people said yes, and what if they filled up my calendar? And I was kind of nervous too. But I thought, okay, well, let's just go for it and see what happens, and I'll suck it up and deliver the coaching if it's overwhelming. And what I found was that, I was pretty busy for the first month. I think I sold 8. So I think, out of my list of 3,000 people, 8 people signed up for the year of unlimited coaching. And I thought, okay, well, that's pretty cool. The money was nice. It was fast revenue. It was in my bank account within 4 days, or at least in cyberspace on its way to my bank account within 4 days. And so that's what told me that this is a way to bring in fast revenue. But now I had all this overhead of coaching to deliver, a year's worth of coaching. So in my opinion, this is a good solution for someone who needs money right now, but it's not maybe something you want to always offer over and over again. But what I learned after I first started delivering this coaching was that the activity sort of tapered off. People did not use it as much as they thought they would. So at first people think, okay, I'm going to schedule a session with you every week, and then it becomes every 2 weeks, and then it's once a month, and then it's once every few months. I think it's just human nature to kind of like we join a gym in January and we work out, but by September, October, we're not using it as much. So that was a surprise to me. I wasn't expecting that, but it allowed me to enroll more people in. So even 1 month later, I had noticed the difference only in 1 month. I enrolled another 8. And then a few months after that, I enrolled 10 more people at a live event by just walking around and talking to them. The model is irresistible to clients if they trust you and if they understand the offer. Because when you break down that $997 to less than $84 a month, that offer becomes irresistible to clients, and they get unlimited coaching with you. And there is homework, which is designed to move them forward, but it's also designed not to fill up your calendar with all these calls that they think they're going to have that maybe they wouldn't. So anyway, I'm kind of all over the board here, Gary, but I hope I'm answering your question that, this model, I call it fast revenue coaching because it really puts fast revenue into coaches' bank accounts.
Yeah, good. Very good. So the takeaways are, number 1, be creative, come up with something that's not the same that everybody else is coming up with. Number 2, simple, so that people can understand it. Number 3, very cost effective. And then number 4, I think you have to be creative enough to put guidelines and parameters around it so that you're not spending all your time giving your time away to people that just want to call on a whim. So you subsidize that with homework, and when they do their homework, then they can email you or get on your calendar and get another appointment. And then the 5th concept is just like at the beginning of the gym. At the beginning of the year, people go to the gym, and right now it's the beginning of the year, and I've been a member of the same gym for 25 years, and we see an influx of people. It gets crowded in January. It tapers off in February, and by March, we're back to the same old core crew every year. And so you want to be able to understand that you can offer unlimited services to people, but you just have to make sure that you put the right guidelines around it, and it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, well said. Very well said and well summarized.
Good. So can you talk a little bit more about the world of client acquisition and how you've developed or how the industry has developed over the time period since you started coming up with these techniques of putting money in your bank account pretty quickly?
Yeah, well, I think maybe the biggest thing I've noticed is that in the beginning, offering a quote-unquote strategy session was a great idea. People liked the idea of this strategy session. But now I believe that a lot of potential coaching clients become suspicious or defensive when they hear strategy session because they feel like they're going to be sold something. And so I think that as the coaching industry has evolved over time, more and more prospects are now familiar with the idea of a strategy session, just like more and more prospects are familiar with the concept of an automated webinar. We don't try to trick them that it's a live webinar anymore. So
yes,
So what I found is a way to still have strategy sessions with clients is not to call them strategy sessions, but to call them reviews. I put an offer out to about 2,000 people earlier this year, or maybe it was at the tail end of last year, and I offered a 2018 business review, a review of their business plan for 2018. And I think 30 people signed up for strategy sessions, but I never used that phrase. And that worked really well. A bunch of them signed up for high-end programs.
Good, great. Okay, good. You want to talk about other tools or methods that have become ineffective, and then maybe ones that are effective for you, that things that you've used that our listeners would want to listen to, learn about?
Sure. Well, I think I can summarize it in one sentence, although I'll go into more detail. But the one sentence is that it all comes down to trust. And the way to look at it is if people do not trust you, they will not hire you.
Yes.
It's that simple. And people talk about the know and like and trust factor, and all three of those are good. But think about doing business with a drug dealer, for example. When you do business with a drug dealer, you don't really have to know the drug dealer. You don't have to like the drug dealer, but you do have to trust that you're going to get the drugs you want, and they're not going to harm you. They're going to do what they're supposed to do. And maybe drug dealing is not rated G for your audience, Gary. But the concept is that people should know you, should like you, but they have to trust you. And so when you think about ways of getting leads and traffic and stuff like that, Facebook ads, for example, can be pretty cool as far as being able to target exactly the right audience and who you want to put your offer in front of. But Facebook leads, they don't know you. And so when someone clicks a Facebook ad and they go over to your webpage and they opt in for your free report, they're very suspicious, and there's no trust there. You cannot immediately ask them to hire you as a client. However, if you get a referral, if Coach Gary says, hey, John, you need to meet Rob, this guy is brilliant at this or that, then I can probably in that same initial introduction conversation start talking to John about doing business together, because it's a warm referral, and basically it's a transfer of trust and rapport from Gary over to John to me. And so so the bottom line, Gary, is it all comes down to trust. And so whatever ways you can get in front of an audience, maybe with a warm introduction from the owner of that audience, or you can build your own audience and build that trust. The trust just has to be in place. So that's what I would say about that.
Yeah, good. Very good. Great tip. And I'm not sure about the analogy about the drug dealer, but the three categories are great to understand. They don't necessarily need to like you, like you or know you, but if they trust you, then that's a factor that makes the big difference. And if you have a different audience or a new audience, you want to have somebody introduce you or somebody that they do trust to help you make that connection. Yep. Okay, good. So we talked a little bit about client acquisition and some tools and some things that you've used over the time periods. So maybe we should talk a little bit about, where do you see coaches? And you've talked to a lot of coaches, you've trained and worked with and done strategy sessions and coaching relationships with a lot of different coaches that come to you for help. Where do you see that they're wasting their time? What do you see as a time waster for coaches that you've been working with in these last several years?
Sure. Well, maybe the number one is I think a lot of coaches buy a lot of programs, and sometimes we call this shiny object syndrome. And so yes. They see a promotion about this person's program and they get excited and distracted, and they, it feels like we're making progress when we swipe our credit card or put in our credit card, and then we own the program. But I don't know, a lot of the programs that get purchased, it's something like 85 or 90% of the info products that are purchased are never consumed and followed through on. And so, I think it's okay to buy info products. I sell them all the time. I've gone through them. I'm also guilty of buying them and not going through them. So I think the mistake is really just getting distracted by too many gurus out there. And really, I think you should pick one leader and just follow that leader. And if things are going well, keep following that leader. So you're in Coach Gary's world right now. If you like him, if you resonate with what he says, then follow him, do what he says. And then when you see that next big, cool looking thing, maybe even just check in with Gary. I have clients do this with me all the time. They're like, hey, I just saw this expert is offering this program on this topic. Should I get it? And and I might be an affiliate. I might have a financial motivation for them to get it. I might say, yeah, and use my link. But so Gary's not like that, and I'm not like that. So be careful, because that is out there. But I'll tell them, I'll say, well, you're on this path right here. This is going to put you on another path. And so, if you're no longer happy on this path and you like this idea, I do know that person and I trust them. But what I don't want you doing is having two paths at the same time, because you'll there's a word I'm looking for, but you're going to dilute your energy, your effectiveness, and you're not going to be effective on either path. So I think, really focus on one leader, follow that leader, and if you're tempted to get something else, maybe check in with that person and say, hey, is this right for me? And that person can tell you yes or no.
Yeah, I think you make two really good points there, Rob. Number one, if you buy a product, make sure you want it, and make sure that you open the wrapper and actually use the product and do everything that product asks you to do. If you trust and like the person and purchase their product, then go for it and go all the way through it and make sure you actually use it. And then the other thing is that as you said, people get on too many paths and they listen to too many people at one time. And boy, I just want to share with everybody that this is something that happens phone call after phone call after phone call that I have, that people call me, Coach Gary, help me. I need this. I need that. So-and-so told me you're the best at this or the best at that, and you can really help me develop my coaching business. And I've spent money here and here and here and here, and people make promises, but they don't deliver. And it's just a lot of wasted time and the money and the resources. And a lot of times they come to me and they say, I don't have any money left. I've got to give you a credit card to get involved in one of your programs because I spent all my money with false profits and didn't get the results that I wanted to get. And this industry is loaded with that, so be careful. And I think that's wise counsel from Rob on how to invest your time and your money and your resources to get the results that you want to get. So other opportunities, Rob, what do you see in our industry that are opportunities that a lot of our people aren't taking advantage of in the coaching industry or in the client acquisition area?
Yeah, so I think the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest opportunity to bring in some revenue into your coaching business, not practice, but business, is really working with your warmest leads, the people who trust you the most. And there are two places to look for those. One is inside your own contact database. And if you don't have a contact database, and I don't, not intentionally anyway, but if you go into your sent items folder, you can find the people that you have been in contact with over the last couple of years. Now, if you look through your inbox or your archived version of your inbox, you're going to have a lot of junk to sort through. Maybe out of every 20 emails you glance at, there's one good contact there. But if you go into your sent items folder, these are people who were worth your time to actually send an email to, and you can quickly make a hit list or a love list of the people that you should be reaching out to and working with. So that's one really good place to look for warm people who trust you. Another place is referrals. And I'm going to bring yet a third guru into this conversation, Gary, and that's someone you've coached with, I believe, Steve Chandler. Steve Chandler, and I'll give you a second, Gary, to tell how you know Steve, but you're the one who taught me about Steve or introduced me to his work. He's got a free book out there on Google. You can Google it. It's called How to Get Clients. And in that, basically, Steve tells you to use referrals. And I think he says to go into your contact list. I don't think he says the sent item stuff. But his book out there called How to Get Clients, you can download the PDF for free, and it's really a good strategy on how to really get clients quickly. And I've referred a lot of my clients to that book, Gary, and so I want to thank you for making me aware of Steve, and I don't know if you want to give him a little tip of the cap or mention anything about him on this call.
Well, yeah, I would add to that. One of the things that people don't understand, and we don't have time to talk in detail. Maybe this is another call that you and I or I can do. in another show, but one of the things that people don't understand is how to treat referrals or the referring party. And just very briefly, I'll just say that they're not looking to get a gift card, and they're not looking to get a gift basket. What they want to do is know that when they refer somebody to me or Rob, that we're going to take care of that person. So you want to keep in contact with the person that refers you and constantly remind them that it's going well, and that they can assure themselves that you took good care of the referral, and it wasn't a quick phone call, you left a voicemail, and that ended the whole thing. But you let them know exactly where the relationship is and where it's not, so that they can be confident to give you referrals in the future. And when I learned that from Steve Chandler, boy, that was a breakthrough for me, because I was sending people gift cards and thank you notes and things like that, but they never really knew what was going on with the relationship unless they took the time to go out and do the investigative work. And that's not their role. So I'm really, really good at letting people know. And, if you refer me somebody, Rob, I will be constantly keeping in contact and letting you know how that relationship goes, so that you can be confident as to what the results of the relationship are, and you don't have to wonder and worry.
Yeah, and you've absolutely done that in the past, Gary. I know that I've sent you people, and you let me know. You're like, hey, first of all, thanks for sending this person over. Here's what we've been up to. You don't violate any confidentiality, but you let me know how you've been taking care of them. And that makes me want to refer even more people to you, because I know they're in great hands. So yeah, you follow Steve's model better than I do, I'll admit. But yeah, it's and that's in the book too. So I'm really glad you highlighted that, Gary.
Yeah, it's really, really significant. So let's talk about any other tools or methods or tips that you want to give people today that go along with either building your list or client acquisition. You've already done just a lot of really good stuff, but is there anything else you want to add to the list of items that you think that you want to share today?
Yeah, so well, as far as building your list, you can build your list in lots and lots of ways. I like to offer a free report that brings people into my quote-unquote marketing funnel, and then nurture them, meaning take care of them, send them really good content, basically building that relationship and building that trust. As far as how to get them into the funnel, I mean, I use Facebook ads. That's okay. I just understand it's a longer sales cycle because those people don't know me. In a joint venture situation, if someone's sharing me with their audience, I might even skip the free report and bring them into my funnel to an automated webinar. So really, it's as far as where you get the traffic and how you just ask yourself, what's going to cause people to trust you the most, and ideally the soonest, the fastest, because we all want to do business sooner rather than later. But it all comes down to trust. As far as turning prospects into clients, this fast revenue laser coaching model I've got works really, really well if people trust you, and if they understand this unlimited coaching 15-minute sessions with a homework rule. If they understand that, for $9.97, which is less than $84 a month, it becomes irresistible to them. And Gary, I wanted to mention that I've got a webinar that goes into even more detail about this. May I give that URL at this point in our conversation?
Yeah, fine. That'd be great. I was going to ask you in a minute, but if let's give it out now, right? While it's fresh on your mind.
Sure. And I can give it out at the end too, but it's fastrevenuecoaching.com. fastrevenuecoaching.com, and you can go there and watch the webinar, and you'll see the whole model, and you'll hear testimonials of other coaches who have made it work for them. So anyway, if that might be helpful, but I'll tell you that's what's brought people who are kind of outside my circle and didn't trust me as much, but they saw it as a low risk, right? Just less than $84 a month to see if this Rob guy could really help them. I got over 50 clients. That's 50 one-on-one clients who hired me for a year or sometimes 2 years, and they all paid in advance, and I did it without strategy sessions using this model. So, I mean, it really is a great entry point for people into your business, and then several of those people have gone on to hire me for other high-end programs, $3,000, $5,000, $7,000 programs after they got to know me as their laser coach. So to answer your question, yeah, I mean, there's two parts. There's kind of building your list of prospects, and then there's building your list of customers, and you want to be good at both. What turns prospects into customers is trust.
Okay, good. So I was going to ask you, why should people trust you and I on this program today and what we're sharing with people? But I think you just covered it. I think you just articulated it enough in a way that it's pretty much a no-brainer. It's easy for anybody who wants to do client acquisition and is listening to this session today. Then they can pretty much trust that it works, and they can go to your website and learn a little bit more about it and go into detail, hear testimonials of how other people have been attracted to the program and the successes that they've gotten. So is there anything else that you want to talk about today that would sum up pretty much the whole topic of client acquisition and doing it in a shorter time frame than a longer time frame? Why do something? Why take a long time to do something when you can do it in a shorter time frame?
Yeah, well, my big piece of advice, I was asked this by someone else, like, what is the very best advice you give to clients? And it's to build and nurture an audience and then make irresistible offers to them. That's really all it is. If you can build and nurture an audience, and usually this is an email list, it can be a podcast audience, it can be a Facebook group, but usually it's an email list, but build and nurture that audience. And when I say nurture, I mean really give them good content, do calls for them, interact with them, let them get to really know, like, and trust you, but most importantly, trust you. And then once you've got that rapport with your audience, make irresistible offers to them. An irresistible offer, by my definition, is a no-brainer if they trust you. If they trust you, they'll find the money to hire you. It's an absolute no-brainer. Yeah, especially in the world of business coaching. Business coaching is one of the best kinds of coaching because you don't have to connect the dots. When you're a relationship coach and you try to tell people, hey, you should give me money because if you get divorced someday, that's going to cost you half your house and all this stuff. You have to connect the dots to show them how it's worth the money. With business coaching, if they trust you, you're saying, give me a little bit of money and I'll show you how to make a lot of money. And if they really trust and believe that you can do that, it's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you put a quarter in a slot machine if you're guaranteed to get $100 out? So anyway, I think business coaching, Gary, that's why I'm a business coach. It's my favorite kind of coaching out there. And it all comes down to trust.
Very good, good. And I want to put a little plug in for business coaching in another way, Rob.
Yeah.
You touched upon it, but I want to elaborate a little bit. If you're a relationship coach, a personal coach, a life coach, even in some cases an executive coach, we have people come to us, Rob, that charge $50 an hour, $100 an hour. Maybe they're sophisticated and they package it into a $500 a month. You could have 4 one-hour sessions with me and for $500 a month. And in all those other forms of coaching, you pretty much exhaust yourself if you don't have a pretty deep, robust methodology and a way to keep that client going. Whereas in business coaching, as long as you're working with people and developing relationships and they like you and trust you and they like the offers that you're making to them, you can make a lot more than $50 an hour. And, and with our clients, we even have our brand new students charge retainer fees that net them out $400 to $500 an hour just when they're first getting started working with small businesses. So I think that not only do you make the case for that, but I think it's the way to get paid a handsome amount of money and give a handsome amount of coaching to people that's really going to make a difference in their lives. So you can have your cake and eat it too. You can make a really good living and you can make a difference in people's lives. And I think that's what most of the people that are going to be watching this are thinking, and that's what most of the people that come to businesscoach.com are looking for, is say, how do I make a difference, but I also want to get compensated for it because I don't want to leave a job where I'm making $100,000 a year and make $35,000 a year to help other people. So it's really a good lesson for people to hear. I would like to ask you to touch on one more thing briefly before we finish up here today, Rob. and that is, could you clarify a little bit, what is an irresistible offer? When you say that, I know what you mean, and I think many of the people that are listening will know what you mean, but I would like to hear you define just a little bit of detail. What does an irresistible offer mean?
Yeah, well, I said it before, but it's so I think relevant. I'll say it again, and I just call it a no-brainer.
Okay.
This is something that, there's absolutely no decision that needs to be made. Now, we can dig a little bit deeper, and that's that you have to push two buttons with an offer. An offer needs to make sense, let's say, to the left brain and the right brain. So in other words, people buy based on emotions. So they want to be excited about it and buy, but they also need to be able to rationalize or justify it, not only to themselves, but sometimes to a spouse or a business partner. And so you really need to push both of those buttons. It's the words you say, whether it's in an email copy or on a webinar or on a phone call, that's the emotional part. That's what makes people say, yeah, I trust you and I want it. But you also need to have something for them so that right after they say yes, or when they want to say yes, they can justify it not only to themselves, but to other people. So I call an irresistible offer a no-brainer for people who trust you.
Good, very good. I just wanted to clarify that point because some people may think that we glanced over it a little bit, and I wanted to make sure they understood exactly what we mean when we use that term.
Yeah.
And so then to wrap things up here today, Rob, I'd like to have people again find out about how they can get in touch with you and your programs and so on and so forth. So you want to give that URL out and any other information,
Sure.
again, that people can contact you if they want to know more about your programs and hiring you as their coach.
Yeah, so first of all, I would say you can always reach out to Gary. Gary and I are really close, and so if you need my information or want him to forward something to me, I imagine he would. But the second thing is, if you'd like to go to my website, I think the best way to get to know me and maybe learn more about this fast revenue coaching model would be to watch the webinar. And when you sign up for the webinar, you'll get on my list, and I'll nurture you. I'll give you a lot of really good content. And so if you like that kind of stuff, I'll give you the URL. I'll say it twice. It's fastrevenuecoaching.com. Fast as in quick, revenue as in money, coaching as in business coaching. fastrevenuecoaching.com.
Beautiful, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Well, Rob, I want to just say that not only thank you for the time that you've invested for our audience here today to really get in touch with Fast Revenue Coaching, but I want to thank you as being a great friend and a supporter of businesscoach.com for a lot of years. And I thank God all the time for the time that we met. I can still remember exactly the room I was sitting in and the phone system that I was using when I called you the first time, and we got connected, and it's been a great and glorious relationship ever since then. And you are a person that people can trust. So thank you for coming on today and really helping this show get off the ground with a really robustful lesson and just a great way for people to learn about how to get into revenue and get their coaching business up and running in a short period of time.
My absolute pleasure, Gary. Yeah, I treasure our friendship. I've been to your house several times. We've hung out socially. We've been to events together. And you're just a true friend and somebody, very, very trustworthy. That's, I don't know if I've ever told you this before, but, I've worked with a lot of your peers in a business relationship, and you are by far the most transparent and honest person that I've worked with. They're all good people, but you'll say, hey, Rob, I owe you some money. And it's stuff that I wasn't even aware of. And it's like, oh, well, thanks for bringing that into my awareness, Gary. So, you are just a gem out there in the world of all these coaching leaders. And so, I'm really, really glad that your audience is consuming these podcasts and hopefully going to your website and getting on your list and getting to know you and figuring out, is business coaching a good fit for them? And I suspect for most people it would be.
Good. Well, thank you again, and God bless you, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Gary. Bye.